Now look guys, there's a ton of misinformation out there circling the internet, mainly YouTube concerning this Intellivision Zero, but guys, I met up with Tommy Zero over the weekend. We took a trip in his Buick Regal over to the Intellivision headquarters, and guys, the guy even let me take this picture for everyone, just so I can put everyone's mind at ease, okay? Tommy assured me that we should be getting a ship date. God, it should be any day now, that way everyone can know when they're going to get their Founders Edition, so any day now, guys. Any day now. Now look, I can't speak for everybody. I got friends out there that are huge PlayStation fans, but just for me, this is just me talking here. The Nintendo Switch has eclipsed the PS4 as far as shoot 'em ups go. It used to be that the PS4 was the way to go, and for exclusives, hell yeah, I'll run to the PS4. I got a PS4 Pro, or who knows, maybe one day I'll get a PS5. I don't know, but for right now, for me, the Nintendo Switch is where it's at. The portable nature of the system, the fact that you can take the Joy-Cons off and do portable vertical, so you have Yoko and Tate, whatever, portable and on the TV, so long as the game supports screen rotation, so that's pretty cool. And what do I need super high-res graphics for? For me, shoot 'em ups, I don't want to move anything past pixel graphics anyway. Maybe an Eschatos or a Ginga Force or something like that. But nothing crazy. So anyway, let's just I'm just going to pull games off the shelf and we'll go one by one. Try to get through this pretty quick. I tried to remove all the twin stick shooters out of here, or else the video would get too long. But first game, Rival Mega Gun. It's a Twinkle Star Sprites clone. Pretty cool. Probably not a game I'd go and get on the PS4, but if I didn't own a copy and all I had was a PS4, I'd cop it. But this is First Press Games. Next up we have I guess this is pronounced Steerden. I don't know, correct me in the comments down below if I'm wrong, but this is a roguelike shooter, so not a huge fan of those kind of game mechanics, but still a pretty game, and I like the pixel graphics. Next up is a game that I own digitally and physically, and I opened the physical. Why, I don't know. Some games, if I do have them sealed, it's just because I have a digital counterpart. But anyway, Freedom Finger, funny game, kind of like a stoner shooter. Next we have a collection of 3 Astroport shmups in the Shmup collection, and this got ported like Wii U, like it got ported around, which is good. I'm always a fan of that, as long as the system can handle it. Danmaku Unlimited 3. Pretty sure this is like a Dojin shooter, because I've played other games in this series on my PC. I think I've even downloaded them off of Dojin Gravity before, but got this at a convention a few years ago. Next up is a game. Now, I have not opened this yet. I do believe I have it digitally. No, I don't know. Cello on YouTube, one of my longest running friends that I've met on this platform, he suggested this. Other YouTubers have spoke negatively about this game, but I have heard some decent stuff about this. It looks to me kind of like it has Thunder Force-ish mechanics. I don't know, but I will get around to it one day. And this is, as of the recording of this video in 2022, this didn't get a port anywhere but some PAL region, so pretty rare. And it was pretty cheap at the time, but not like a high, from what I understand, not a super high quality shooter. But if you collect video games, I guess kind of cool. Not that I'm a huge game collector or anything. Next up is Raiden 5. Interesting thing about this, it includes a soundtrack. So, pretty cool. Real quick, I gotta add some games that barely made the list or whatever. You'll see what I mean. Games that have it's like a collection with like a shooter on there. The SNK 40th Anniversary Collection. Forget how many shooters are on here. This is a shooter, although not a great one. This game's pretty, but not for me. I owned it on the PS4. Wasn't a huge fan of it. Got it for like $10 at Walmart, though. Biohazard Battles on here. And I do believe there's a couple shooters on here, although I forget which ones, and I forget how many. I could be wrong, but something inside me, my spotty sensors are tingling on this one. But Namco Collection. And I think there's some different games on here than the US release of this, but something I found at the flea market. All right, next up we have the Saturn Collection, Saturn Tribute Collection. It's got 3 games on here: Cotton 2, Cotton Boomerang, Guardian Force. This game got roasted for having terrible input lag, and this is one I copped on the PS4 as well. There's other ports of this. I think Strictly Limited got a hold of it, so it's not hard to find. This version's actually pretty decent. I know there's like the input lag issue, but I really don't notice it. Of course, I'm not like a huge, pick apart a game kind of guy, but I recommend this. Cotton 2, Cotton Boomerang, and Guardian Force, which is, it's an interesting game. It's a shoot. I would consider Guardian Force a shoot 'em up, but it just has things like a mechanic where you can change the direction of your shot, but still a pretty cool game. Next up we have Ghostblade HD. Now I slept on this because I had it on the PS4, but I did find this at a convention, but damn, $45. I knew that I wouldn't find it any cheaper than that, but still a decent game. I think this is a NG Dev Team. I think QCast and NG Dev Team are pretty much the same thing, but let me know in the comments. I think it's like 2 brothers, one in each company or something like that. Salvaryar Delta. One of my boys met off of Instagram years ago, hooked me up with a version of this on the Dreamcast. And then I have another version on the PS2. And then I saw this at GameStop, which actually kind of shocked me. And I think they're now a defunct company. So this will probably be hard to get in the future. Again, if I'm wrong about that, let me know in the comments down below. I just know what I hear online and stuff. But Salvaryar Delta. And next up we have Raiden 4, the Makito remix, which I think is like the Makito Music Factory Japan or something like that. As a matter of fact, I have the Japanese version right here, and this one's still sealed. And I'll probably get rid of this, but the reason I have this is I pre-ordered this, and then the place where I got this actually broke street date for me just by a day, so it wasn't that bad. But I wanted to play it that bad, even though I already own Raiden 4. Overkill's on here, which I think at the time was a PS3 exclusive, digital only, but that's on the cart. I highly recommend this. Whichever copy's cheaper, this is like a $30 game if you can find it in stores near you, and I think even on eBay and Amazon. Of all the games I'm showing you right now, this is one of the best values, at least for me, and that's why I have 2 copies, because I couldn't wait a day or a couple of days for this one to come in from PlayAsia. I just had to have it right now. Let's see. Next up, this is the Vasara. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. It's some Visco shooters, arcade shooters, a collection of them. And the reason this one's sealed is because I own it digitally. I remember going on vacation to Ocean City years ago and playing this on the Vita at the time, and having a lot of fun with it. Not the greatest shooters in the world, but they're pretty decent. Next up, Sisters Royale. This pushes it whether it's a shoot 'em up or not. I mean, it clearly is, but it's one of those ground-based shooters, and it's actually pretty decent. But Sisters Royale, got it on the PS4 too. Next up is probably the worst shooter I'm going to show you in this list. I don't even know how you pronounce it. Wafu? Not a great shooter, and the only reason I have this physically is because the woman got it for me for Christmas. She asked me what I wanted, and I just tried to pick the cheapest shooter I could find off of PlayAsia, and this was it. But if I only had this digital, wouldn't hurt my feelings a bit. Sorry about the jump cuts. I just had my family run downstairs and totally derail things. Plus, I'm trying to get stuff out of the way. There's not like a huge pile of games right here, but I was promised 15 minutes. 15 minutes, which we are going to take full advantage of. The woman gave me 15 minutes, so let's use that time and go over the rest of these shooters. So next up we have Griffin Night Epic. Now, I was very aware, anyone that plays video games and likes shooters probably would be, of the value or the cost of a PS4 copy of this. So when Strictly Limited announced that there was a complete, I think, and this is probably the best version because more of the games on the cart, but when Strictly Limited announced that they were offering this, I jumped at the chance. There was a version with the soundtrack, but I was just happy to own this. But I had this digitally, and that's why this one's sealed. But Griffin Night Epic. Alright, next up we have RXN Raiden. I did not get this first off from PlayAsia. This was one of those PlayAsia exclusives, but I did find this at a Too Many Games convention. Video Games New York had copies, and they probably still do. I see them at conventions, and I see them pop out with these every now and then. So I got a feeling that Video Games New York, kind of like Escatos and Ginga Force and other 360 shooters, they keep showing up with copies. I like that they do that. They don't sell all their stock. They still show up to conventions with stuff like this and piece it off to people. And a reason you should go see them and look for this is because this was delisted off of the Nintendo eShop, and this is a Nintendo exclusive from what I'm aware of. But there's also a collector's edition. Not the greatest shooter. If you did like that game, Power Rami, a game that we're going to see here in just a few minutes, then you will probably like this, but not the strongest shooter. But if you collect video games or are into shooters or like them physically, it's definitely something to keep your eye out for. And I would assume probably going to go up in value. And it does have a manual, so look for that if you buy a copy. And this is just a standard retail copy, but I did have to buy it new and open it. All right, we have Esprade, or I think that actually stands for Extra Sensory Perception. Let's talk about this for a minute. Why would I think that? Well, the reason I think that is because here is a South Korean version. And as we can see here, extra sensory perception. So that would make sense. Now, I don't know if the Koreans made that up and stuck that on there, but I have a feeling that this might not even be licensed. This is running through a MAME emulator. So I don't know. But before this came out physically, before M2 ported this to Switch and PS4, this was how I played Esprade, how I live streamed it. I used to I still do speak highly of the game, and I'm glad it has the following that it has now. It was one of those games I was definitely ahead of the curve on. But again, up behind the curve as far, because I found out about this from people in the community, so I was probably behind the curve on stuff like this. But yeah, anyway, this is the version you want, whether it be the Switch or the PS4. Go for the Switch, own it portably, and the portable tape mode is excellent. But yeah, Esprade, a must buy. Expensive though. Retail copies are like $70-$80, so still worth it. Aleste Collection. This is all the 8-bit stuff. But you do have GGLS 3. Highly recommended. I could go on and on and on and on and on about how good it is. So you guys should definitely buy this. Again, this is a higher retail cost, just like this, Esprade. But GGLS 3, and I don't know why they didn't add a soundtrack to the collector's edition. I have the collector's edition of this on the PS4. You got a Game Gear Micro with the game on it, which is kind of cool, but no soundtrack. Come on, give us a soundtrack, M2. But Aleste Collection. Next up, we have Raiden EX. Now, I bought and sold a couple of Neo Geo AESs in the hopes that I could own this on the Neo Geo AES over the years. I was highly excited when I heard that NG Dev Team was porting a version of this to the Switch, and I would consider this to probably be the definitive version. And this is actually one that I have the box for the collector's edition for. Highly recommend this game. It's expensive. I don't know if NG Dev Team said they were going to reprint copies of this in 2022. I don't know if that's happened yet. Let us know in the comments down below if it hasn't, because I know people want copies of this, but highly recommended. And it sucks that it's expensive as it is, but at least in this state, and there's a soundtrack in there as well, but at least, and this was a physical only game, kind of like other companies are doing now on the Switch. But at least NG Dev Team made this digital, so anyone can own it. So because of that, props to NG Dev Team. All right, next up we have a port. So we have ports of Darius games. This is like all the early stuff, like the none of like the everything before, like G Darius and before is pretty much right here. And we have arcade and console ports of both, including some pretty rare PC Engine games and stuff like that. So these are recommended, but kind of expensive. And God, I own PS4 copies of these, and I almost feel like selling them, because I mean, what can the Switch do that the PS4 can't for games like this? But it's a shooter though, so I don't know. I'm conflicted, but if they fly up in value, maybe I'll dump my PS4 copies. I don't know, but Darius Cosmic Collection arcade and console, and there was a consolidated version of this on PlayAsia. But, you know, Strictly Limited, they would like to add a couple more versions to their disc or their cart and squeeze some money out of people, and that's definitely what happened here. But anyway, Darius Cosmic Collection. At the same time, I'm kind of glad Strictly Limited adds extra stuff, because I can't really justify it. It does kind of, it's kind of a shitty practice, but yeah, whatever. All right, Darius Burst Ex. There are so many Darius Burst and CS, ES. I don't know all the differences. All I know is the first Darius Burst game that I ever saw, or game I guess it's in the series, was on the PSP. Yeah, I wish I owned that, because I saw it years ago, but whatever. This was like a $30 game at the game shop, so anytime I see this shooter for $30, I pick it up. And especially I see that this is like a Strictly Limited parent company, so it's cool to see that they actually have their games in stores, so I will give them at least props for that. They are making physical copies and putting them in, I guess, like smaller game stores, like mom and pop game shops. That's where I'm getting stuff like this, so at least they are doing that. Strictly Limited Run is too, but Strictly Limited, I'm seeing them pop up in stores too, so that's pretty cool. Again, this is another one they did, the G Darius HD, which this was $15 on Amazon for quite a while. Now it's back up to $30, but I still recommend this for $30. But $15, I know people that bought a lot of copies of this for $15, so that's pretty cool. All right, we got a case protector on this one. This is Gunlord Ex. The first version I ever played of this was on my Dreamcast. I still have that version. This is the better, more definitive version, and I love the shooter stages in this. Damn, I wish NG Dev Team just took the first. There's really only two shoot 'em up stages, but the first one is my favorite, and even though it's kind of cheesy, I really enjoy it. And then the last stage is kind of it's a shooter stage, but you're more of a form that you would take in like Macross Scrambled Valkyrie, when you're not the form of the ship, when you're in the form of the mech. That's what the last level is at Gunlord X, but highly recommended. Not as expensive as Raiden EX, but it's like a $100 game, unfortunately. All right. Here's the Japanese version of the Cotton Reboot. Now, I got this from Play Asia back before. I didn't know this was going to get ported around in US releases, so I'll probably get a US version just because, I don't know, maybe see if there's any differences. And if it's the same, probably dump that copy. But pretty cool. I think the artwork we got out here was pretty much the same, but it'd probably be better if I had a copy where I could read the box, right? Caladrius Blaze. This got ported around. I never owned a PS3 copy, but that's when I was aware of this game. This is like a PC shooter that came to consoles and got ported around. It's pretty decent. And this is one of the first games that really set it off when it comes to the resurgence of shoot 'em ups for consoles and arcade shooters in general. This got a lot of YouTube coverage by a lot of like smaller underground YouTubers, and it has decent gameplay, slight story elements, but definitely arcadey, and it's a really, really fun co-op shooter. And from what I saw, especially on places like YouTube, some of the best videos of this were people playing this co-op, so pretty interesting. But anyway, Caladrius Blaze on the Nintendo Switch. Here we got Quad Fighter K, or as this was called, and wherever, I forget where this came out at, like Kogeki, I don't know. I know it's Quad Fighter K, but this company right here, B-Side Games, is now defunct, out of business, and they sold games like this off for super cheap. I think like 15-20 bucks. This will probably be rare and expensive one day, I would assume. It's a pretty decent little shooter, but nothing special going on inside the case. I bought this new, and you know, sucks there's no inner cover art, but pretty cool little game. If you can find this cheap, you know, like I'd say under 50 at this point, I would kind of recommend it. It's kind of like an oddity in your collection. Next up, we have Stormwind Ex. I have a version of this on my Dreamcast, but I also own this digitally on my Switch, and that's why that copy's sealed. Any copy I have sealed is because I own it digitally on the Switch. Now, this is the new Radergy game, but this is the one that has Illmatic envelope. There we go. Damn. That's wild, isn't it? This is like that like mid 80s like HIV/AIDS art right here. Kind of dig it. Decent little game, set of games right here, and this is the copy you want because it has Illmatic envelope on the cart. So I guess they're kind of pulling like a strictly limited here and giving you a different version, but that's really the case when it comes to any kind of game collection. The Japanese version usually has stuff that the US version or the Western version does not. Why, I don't know, but pretty cool cover art. And I was hoping that a version of Sakura Flamingo Archives, I was hoping a version of that remix mode that's on Sakura Flamingo Archives would be on here. It's really not, but there are some similarities there, so that's why I can still recommend this, and it's not super expensive. So that is it for just cases of like standard editions. I got a few collector's editions and maybe a few more in the closet. If I do, maybe I'll show them to you in the future. If I do, it's only a couple of them, but here we have R-Type Final 2, and it comes with a soundtrack, which is cool. And this is how the game came. But I do foresee there being another version that has everything on the cart of the disc. Or at least I hope there is. And if that day ever comes, I will dump this. But I recommend this. Good game. I was playing it last night. R-Type Final 2. Next up is a game, Ikaruga. Ikaruga is the game. And this on the GameCube. That was a reason to own a GameCube for me for some time, having Ikaruga on the old GameCube. Unfortunately, when this came out on the Switch and PS4, the price and value of this shot up. God, on PlayAsia, they want like $500 for one of these, and they sell for like $200 or $300. Crazy. I wish it came with a soundtrack, but it does come with one of those Metal Earth metal figurines. My kid used to love putting these together, so that is kind of cool. And unfortunately, it also comes with a sticker that's, I think there's a sticker, yeah. Come on out of there. Here we go. A warning sticker that flies across the screen. And got a receipt in there too, but yeah. Ikaruga on the Switch, and the PS4 copy's I think a little bit cheaper than the Switch copy, but man, it sucks that this game got so damn expensive. The only reason I have this now is because I just thought it'd be cool to have Ikaruga on a modern gen system. I'm not even a huge Ikaruga fan. Sorry to say, guys, I don't think it's the greatest shooter, but God, it really sucks that the cost went up on that. They should reprint copies, but I heard about the company, real quick, this company, Nicholas, like I've heard they're going under. I don't know. I see they're still selling games. I don't know. Maybe they're just going to do digital games. I don't know. Who knows? Let us know in the comments. But we just talked about this a little bit ago. The Powerami. Not the greatest shooter, but still pretty fun. One of those like East Asia Soft deals when they released it on the Switch and the PS4. The first time I played this was on the PS4, and it was good enough to warrant a Switch purchase, at least at the time. And next up is one of the more recent games that I got, and that is Star Hunter DX and Space Moth Lunar Edition. Now, the Space Moth is going to kind of remind you of Mushihime-sama, just more dojin-y. I think the game that you really want to play on here is the Star Hunter DX. There's a really cool bullet canceling mechanic that's in the game, and probably the reason to own this collection, but unfortunately this sold out pretty quick. But yeah. Oh, and another thing too, this strictly limited collector's edition is different than the ones they normally do. They normally have a box with a folding clasp that has magnetic clips on the side. This is just like straight cardboard, but hey, there's a soundtrack in there, so for that I am grateful. And next up, I can show these as a pair. I'll just show them as a pair. We have the Psycho Shooting Stars Alpha and Bravo. You can see the covers of what games are on each one. This I got at GameStop. They had this in stock at GameStop, and it was $50. This on Amazon was $40, so definitely snapped on this. Not the greatest emulation on here, but still good enough to, if you see it for a decent deal, to pick it up. We're not going to go into great detail on those. And, oh, I got one more. I saved the best for last. One of the best. We have the Rolling Gunner Collection. Now, I have Rolling Gunner on my PC, have for a while. I don't have the overpowered DLC yet. I do plan on opening this, and I don't even have it downloaded because I was just going to, you know what, I got it physically. I'm going to open this and get it that way. Man, I'm thinking about getting this on the PS4, but like, God, I got this on my PC. I have it on the Switch. Do I really need it on the PS4? Maybe, because one of the people that worked on some cave games worked on this, from what I understand. So this is a really good shooter, and I recommend it. And I haven't even played the overpowered DLC yet, but yeah, Rolling Gunner on the Switch. And Strictly Limited, from what I understand, is the only place that has PS4 copies of this. So that is something to think about. But yeah, everything I showed you earlier and all this is everything I have as of the end of the first quarter of 2022 as far as shoot 'em ups go on the Nintendo Switch. And there's so many stuff out. There's like so many games that I haven't pre-ordered that are coming out, and about as many as I probably just showed you right now. So it's a little insane. I can't keep up with it at this point. I don't have the funds to, but I'll pick and choose the ones that I really want moving forward. But yeah, that's it, guys. Let me know what I should cop down in the comments, because again, if a shooter's really, really, really good, I definitely want to own it physically on the Switch. So till next time, guys. Peace.